Welcome to the Innovative Systems Podcast, Broadband Breakdown, where we dive into real-life challenges broadband leaders are facing and help them find solutions. This is your space for innovative ideas and expert solutions. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome today. With me today is Chris Lovell, Chief Growth Officer from CLTel. Chris, thank you for jumping on.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. Good to chat.
Yeah, so Chris, tell me a little bit about CLTel real quick and about yourself here, if you don't.
Sure. CLTel is a family-owned company headquartered in north central Iowa in the town of Clear Lake. We are, 131 years old this year, actually.
Wow.
Which is wild. Yep. And, we've evolved as everyone has over the course of time. We're a fiber broadband operator. We do hosted VoIP, all kinds of business solutions and cable TV and traditional triple play. But we serve the Clear Lake, Ventura, Mason City area with our traditional services, and our hosted VoIP. We serve customers throughout the state and the region, really. That's
incredible. Thank you. So I know the reason I wanted to talk to you because I know in our passings we've come into contact talking about AI and all the different things out there and, basically all the boom of all the different AI companies. So I really wanted to get a C-level perspective on AI. You can't go to a trade show without having 5 meetings about it. Is there overload? Where do you see the benefits? Is there an AI bubble? Any and all perspective like that from you. So I'll let you kind of jump in and see, let's kick this off and see where we go.
Oh gosh, sure. So there's so much to say, so much to talk about. I would start with a perspective that, in general, me personally, as well as our team, is we're just extremely excited about the possibilities that AI will enable.
What do you mean by that, though? Like, where do you see it impacting first versus where you see it down the road?
So we're all, everybody's a ChatGPT user. I know I use it every single day, Copilot, all these little kind of one-off things that make our lives easier, and all of that's great. We've been dabbling in that for quite a while, and it's helpful, but it's not the real transformational technology that I think agentic AI will be. So taking inefficiencies in workflows. So take, just for an example, customer service reps doing lots of manual manipulating of data here, typing in things here, typing them out there. Taking that whole piece out of the loop, let it be done automatically through an AI agent, and maybe having multiple agents communicating with one another back and forth. And I don't know, the possibilities are endless, I feel like, for the agentic piece. Not so much the one-off ChatGPTs that are helpful, but it's when you build it into your workflows, agents working with one another, maybe different systems communicating with one another, like Innovative communicating with Calix. That's where it'll really be, will be more efficient, more effective, and I think will serve the customer better.
So that's interesting because I have 2 college-age daughters, and they're sitting there going, oh, I wonder if the jobs we're looking at are still going to be around. Now, my view on this with AI is, for the companies we serve, like yourself, there's so many other jobs, there's so much work to do, that this is not going to replace people. It's going to allow them to focus on other items that are much more important. Yeah. What's your take on that?
100%. I think, especially in the initial period, companies like us, companies our size, like you said, there's just an unlimited backlog of things we want to do to improve. By eliminating some of the menial administrative just junk that bogs us down, steals our brain power, it allows us to be more creative and focus on those things. So I think that's kind of the first phase. But as agentic AI becomes a reality, and as our operating model includes those enhancements, could there be opportunities for work to be shifted around? Absolutely. And I think, honestly, it'll be there'll be an interesting path that companies can take. They can either go one direction, which is solely, put that efficiency and that profit in their pocket, or redirect the capacity, keep the same people on staff, but maybe redirect their efforts toward more community engagement, maybe more proactive customer outreach, things like that. I mean, we're very passionate about things like Operation iFast. That's just one example of the impact that I believe businesses can have in the world that AI will enable. Because if you don't have to have as many people doing these technical jobs, if those things can be alleviated, guess what? You all of a sudden have bandwidth and capacity freed up to redirect that and focus on the world impact that your company cares about.
And that's a great point because, you see this even already with some of the layoffs you're seeing in some of the really large companies. I don't expect that in our companies. I think you're right. They're so embedded in the communities that they have, 131 years you guys have been around. They're so embedded in these communities that they want to see that community development happen. They want to see that way to make this be a destination for people to come live and have the best quality of life possible. So,
yep.
I agree.
And customers will be able to see that too. I mean, what if we get to a point where if a customer has a choice between, their local provider and a national provider, they can look at how both of the two companies choose to use AI. Do they use the efficiencies to cut headcount, or do they use the efficiencies to make a bigger impact in the world? And they can say, oh, I want to give my money to the company who's actually making a difference. And
especially probably because the price is going to still be kind of the same, right? So now I can spend with somebody that's really making a difference in our community and I see it and feel it versus, I can do everything remotely and maybe every once in a while I'll have a tech spin through an area to handle a trouble ticket because they're so short staffed, they're using AI for everything.
Yep.
So
totally. And just one other comment. This is probably, maybe pie in the sky thinking, but there's an opportunity for our whole society as a whole to lean into this as a model, to say we're capitalists, we want to operate as effectively and efficiently as we can, but we're not going to take all of that profit solely for ourselves. We're going to instead reinvest it and be the impact that we want to see in the world. And that's not just broadband providers. I think that can happen throughout the country, and not everyone will do that. I think a lot will, and I don't know.
I hope you're right, and into the education of, helping get the next generation, like I said, my daughters, making sure they're ready to do the jobs that are there that create that impact and not training them for the menial jobs that, agentic AI can be replacing. So as Chief Growth Officer, what have you sifted through already? And what were some of the ones you're like, that looks good? Or have you seen any out there, and you don't have to name them, but just like, what in the world are they doing? How do you kind of focus on what's helpful and what's maybe a hindrance when it comes to all the stuff you get bombarded with when it comes to AI?
Yeah, I think a good first step is to get a true view of your operating model. Essentially your processes, your workflows. What does the business look like? Where are there opportunities to say, oh, this could be automated, this could be enhanced through AI, and try to find specific use cases. It is kind of tough when you do kind of get bombarded with, oh, here's a tool to help you with this, here's a tool to help you with that, and you think, okay, that could be helpful in that one-off scenario, but how does that fit into the overall equation? And so that's what we focused on first, is defining our operating model. And that's obviously always a work in progress, but I think the next step, I do believe Calix is leading the way on this in a big way. And Innovative, you guys are not only great partners with them and play an integral role with that, but you guys are doing all of your own R&D and your enhancements as well. But we're looking forward to working with partners like you guys to say, okay, how do we get from where we are today? This is our operating model. This is a future state that would be better through the use of AI, and think about those one-off things that come in, but think about it in a holistic overall, like an equation, thinking of the business model as an equation.
So I know, like, internally, we've had a lot of conversations internally and with, like you mentioned, Calix, someone we partnership well, and it's it's so fun to start into a conversation, like you said, on something as easy as say you're tracking who's hitting up on the maxing out their bandwidth. Okay, well, first step, let's get that easily reported over to you. All right, that's a crawl step. What's a walk step? Well, let's actually bump them up automatically to the next speed. And, what's a run step? Let's bump them up onto a trial for 7 days, send marketing emails out to them automatically, and, then impact the new price increase on the new speed if they keep it. I mean, all without having to do anything with it. Right. There's all that opportunity there. Trouble tickets the same way.
100%. And then the sprint maybe is you create an agent who's responsible specifically for that, who reports to the other customer service or marketing agents, and they just do it themselves. And they communicate with one another, and you get a report on what's happening, and you can have a human in the loop where you want, and you don't have to where you don't. Yeah.
There's fun. There's a lot of fun. Have you seen it hinder at all? I mean, do you have people go off to trade shows and come back and like bombard you with 5 different new companies you've never heard of? It. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I mean, there's so much hype around it. Calix talks about that we're in the hype cycle, and others talk about that we're in the hype cycle, and that's true. I think that what's the idiom that it's not an idiom, but a law or something that says people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but vastly underestimate what they can do in 10 years.
Okay, I don't know it off the top of my head, but I get what you're saying with that.
I think that's true. And I think that it can be a hindrance because we can think, okay, this shiny widget could be really helpful in this narrow use case. And it's easy to get distracted from the overarching big picture of we're trying to enhance our overall business model and our operating model. And it can be difficult to say, oh, yeah, that could be useful. How much time and resources do we spend evaluating it? So yes, for sure. But I just think there's something to be said. Personally, I wish that the whole agentic thing was live today, and it's just not there yet. And so it's kind of okay, come on, how can we get to,
come on.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know. We've got a handful of things out, and they'll be out in first quarter. I think you've heard some of those being on some internal meetings, but I know once Calix gets their cloud migration finished, we're jumping at the bit to start jumping at some things with them specifically also. So I'm going to switch gears on you on this topic then and go, you talked about how we're already all using Copilot ChatGPT. What's your AI policy and how long have you had it in place?
So our AI policy, we have to be very careful about the free version of ChatGPT. So I want to make that distinction. I think it's important for people not to utilize that, frankly, the free version, because you don't know what they're going to be doing with the model. The paid version supposedly has more protections, but we do not, under any circumstance, input customer information, financial information, or anything that would be sensitive to one of those systems. Copilot, since it's a Microsoft product, is a little bit of a different story because if you already have a Microsoft environment, I mean, there's some built-in protections and access that Microsoft has to your documents already. So, but it's important to have the web versus work toggle on. We've had our AI policy has been in place for, that's a great question, probably a year, maybe not quite a year. And it's evolving. And
I was going to say, it's probably one of those things that will only continue to evolve a lot. Have you noticed any other cybersecurity aspects or anything that you've had to be more careful or train about because of both your use of AI and what you're obviously seeing? I mean, we all know cutting edge is usually the criminals and the good guys are trying to keep up. So I didn't know what you've run into with that so far or anything.
I wouldn't say that I've personally run into a scenario that was because of AI, but just in general, I mean, we do cybersecurity training, and a common theme with that is how much better phishing emails, phishing calls, smishing,
All the ings.
all the ing, how much better they can be because of AI and generative AI. And I mean, that's just a fact. So I think that's important. But then from a holistic overarching perspective, as we talk about transforming the operating model to being agentic, if a lot of those things are being done automatically, there just could be more vectors for being susceptible to an attack. And so I think it's all kind of coming together all at once, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We're going to rely, I think, a lot on our vendors and the cybersecurity that is built in and audits that our vendors have, as well as our own internal programs, of course, and supply chain risk management, making sure we're doing all the technical things. It's still the wild, wild west, and I think there's a lot of unanswered questions, that's for sure.
And I do think that is the probably key takeaway that I would have out of this conversation is it is the wild, wild west still. You've got to have your policies in place. You've got to trust your partners, find trustworthy and reliable partners. But, the world's also the oyster out there because there's so much opportunity. So I don't know. What other takeaways would you want anybody else in your position that was listening to this? What are a handful of takeaways you think you'd want to share with them?
Boy, I think the biggest obstacle is change and change management. And we've chatted with this about with
I love this topic. You know that.
And it's the truth, because I mean, change is scary, change is hard. Just in general, people are used to doing what they do, and so to think about a complete paradigm shift is hard. I think the concerns about job displacement, again, not at our company or companies like ours, but just broadly, are valid. And so I think there's a natural hesitancy.
Well, but even at a company like yours, if I've done the same job for 10 years, and now you're saying, oh, you're going to go do community development, that is a scare to a lot of people. They get comfortable in that job that they're in.
True. You're absolutely right. I think just how much is out there now. I think it's easy for people to, if they haven't been playing with it, to feel overwhelmed and say, I don't even know where to begin. If that's not something that's part of their life yet. And so just the change curve is a big thing to overcome. Vernon Johnson, VJ, our marketing manager, he did a presentation at a conference last year, and he did really well at that, and had some great comments. And he's very technology forward and embraces all kinds of new things. And he talked about it from a marketing perspective and just utilizing tools there. But he is also in charge of our customer service team, and that will be a big change for them. And so we're not at the point where if we flipped a switch and changed to this new business model where they would be comfortable with it. So what he's done is he's come up with kind of some fun, unique ideas for them to play with various AI tools, not even work related. Like come up with a song about me or something, or about whatever. Not work related, but it helped them to be more comfortable with, oh, this is how you enter in a prompt. This is what changes when you do the prompt differently. Even simple things like that, I think, can go a long way for helping people feel more comfortable.
Just the comfortable, yeah, exactly. That is awesome. I do think that's probably the number one point that I would love anyone to listen to is a culture of change is going to be needed as you adopt more and more AI into your workflows, into your company processes. So I think that's great that you guys are already looking at it. I always tell, it's an ancient book by now, but Who Moved My Cheese is just a great, easy read for anybody out there. Just to say, keep in mind, changes constantly happen, and change is something you need to embrace and, be excited about, not scared of. So, I don't know if you've read that one in a while or not, but it's an old classic.
Yeah, no, totally. And the only constant in life is change, really. I mean, ultimately,
Right.
that's just a fact of life. And it's exciting. I mean, personally, that's the other thing too. Don't we all want to surround ourselves with people who are eager to embrace new things and learn and grow and become better? I think if we can try to encourage that in all areas of life, including AI adoption, I think we're all going to be better.
100%. Stagnant water is not healthy.
It is not. No.
So, constantly flowing.
Yeah.
Don't drink the still water.
No.
Well, Chris, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I really appreciate you jumping on and talking through this, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you again.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
That's a wrap for this episode of Broadband Breakdown. Got a problem you need advice on or a story to share? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay connected and keep pushing for progress in rural America.